this is gonna be rough. I just want to do a short rant about this because, oh sweet lord, this irked me something fierce. A few days ago, I was playing Tetris, as I'm known to do. Don't judge me, it's my decompression mechanism. Otherwise, I'd be putting my head through a frickin' wall. Politics tends to be kind of infuriating these days, seeing as our elites aren't fit enough to moonlight as speed bumps. But anyway, I had one of Styx's videos on, and blocks were coming down kind of fast, so I didn't want to pause the game. And when Styx's video ended, life hates me enough to throw me the Conservative Party conference in England. This is what I hear.
Our Conservative and Unionist family has done so much. We fixed a broken economy left by Labour. We fought off that nationalist threat in Scotland and protected our union. We delivered the fastest vaccine rollout in the world. We got Brexit done, invested record amounts in our NHS, got more people into work than ever before, introduced a national living wage and have cut carbon emissions faster than any country in the world. And, if I may, on the 10th year of it becoming law, we Conservatives delivered equal marriage.
Government intervention, and the destruction of an ancient institution. Marriage is not about equality, you gimp. It is about ownership. It is to create a family, and if you can't create a family the way Mother Nature intended, you can't get married. Simple as that. So, question for you, you half-witted Tory wankers. How the fuck is any of what you just touted conservative? This is something that is mind-blowing to me. And I've used this quote by Pastor Robert Damney about Northern conservatism in America many times over now. That it doesn't conserve anything. It just exists as this shadow that follows radicalism's march, serving as something to whip to keep it from growing fat and lazy. Which is rather ironic now that I think about it, because anyone that still espouses progressivism happens to be, more often than not, fat and lazy. England has a similar version to this, and anyone watching this knows it. The Tories aren't conserving jack shit except Blairism. And if you thought the Yanks were bad, I think the English are actually worse. Because let's be honest for a moment, shall we? Most people aren't bright enough, let alone interested enough to take an active role in understanding how their government really works. In England or the United States for that matter. Because it's a smokescreen. It requires power mapping and a mind most people simply don't have. How it's supposed to work versus how it actually works is a whole different league. Heaven's sake, remember when that idiot Boris Johnson was at the G7 summit going, we're going to build back better, greener, fairer, more feminine, listing off as many of the most eye-wincingly cringe leftist slogans one can muster. Despite all evidence to the contrary, when it comes to England, presumably because people there are tribalistic and thick as porridge, many are dense enough to believe the Conservatives actually govern conservatively. And so, when the incompetent Tories royally bollock it up because they don't actually govern like real conservatives, you'll have a legion of morons who seem to think conservatism has failed and Labour is now what is needed, because again, none of these pillocks actually focus on policy. When in reality, anyone paying attention would tell you, whatever the useless Tories do that causes hell in third gear, Labour will do in 6. The UK government really is the personification of Dumb and Dumber. Case in point. And thank you, Academic Agent, for this gem. The man tweets like a demon on wheels. Diversity is one of our greatest strengths. My Labour government will introduce blah, blah, blah. Fuck off, you plastic Tesco twat! This isn't even a faction thing for me, but seeing any figure who holds a position of authority in the power structure showcasing this level of pathetic weakness and submission to a foreigner is a disgraceful display of dishonor. And the fact that he's called Sir doing it, you bring shame upon the empire! Oh, and speaking of empire, I don't know what it is, but there is this twinge in the back of my head that fills my blood with a raging appetite for imperial conquest. When I see this, there is something in my soul that says, you must be conquered because you are weak. Could be because I was playing Age of Empires a while back, but who knows. By the way, the 4K version of that game looks outstanding, and the music is still as glorious as ever. But can we go back to this nauseatingly desperate slogan of leftist cringe, diversity is our strength? 3 words that I'd like to bring your attention to: diversity, our, and strength. Diversity of what? Melanin? Because that's all I can see here, because the moment you find any diversity of melanin espousing diversity of thought, ooh, suddenly the goodwill of diversity A gets annihilated by diversity B because thinking is verboten and you're a hive mind. Or could it possibly be because it's a slogan devoid of any substance and hollow like your skulls?
Uncontrolled immigration, inadequate integration, and a misguided dogma of multiculturalism have proven a toxic combination for Europe over the last few decades.
No shit!
I'm not the first to point this out. In 2010, Angela Merkel gave a speech in which she acknowledged that multiculturalism had utterly failed. And then French President Nicolas Sarkozy and British Prime Minister David Cameron echoed similar sentiments shortly thereafter.
And yet you keep doing it over and over again, well over a decade later, which will lead people to one of only two conclusions. You're either woefully incompetent at this handling of a self-inflicted wound, what a shock, or you have a hostile attitude and nefarious intentions towards the native population. Oh, if only there was a warning about this for several decades, centuries even. I seem to recall something about rivers. And is Europe better off for having imported the rest of the world? Well, if the skyrocketing rates of state expenses, crime rates, and damage to social cohesion is anything to go by, no. The hour just means the elite's grips on power, because they want to get all of these imports to the ballot box as quickly as possible. And strength? Strength for what? These hordes of people, many of whom come from incompetent and corrupt governments, quite a few of former European colonies, by the way. If diversity is such a strength, why didn't it fix their lands? It's very strange to strive so hard for your independence, and then when your own people suck at ruling, you return to the ones who conquered you and then complain about their demographics. A nation is its people, and any piss-poor excuse of an elected official who spends more time praising the foreigner than they do the native inhabitants is a traitorous peasant unfit to serve and should be tried for treason. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.